everyone. So you're welcome to the Creative Conversations Corner, and today I'm having an exciting conversation with someone who is a colleague, a friend, and someone whose journey has incredibly inspired me in so many ways. One thing I know with this person is every single time I have a conversation with him, whether it's on the phone or a chat or I see him, there's just something new that just sparks up in my mind. I start to, I'm empowered or I'm inspired or I'm just gingered up to go and do that next thing that I really want to do. And I'm hoping and I trust God that, from our conversation, there's something that you're definitely going to get out of this and you're going to get the light that you need. So join me as I welcome Bayo Omoboriowo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, Bayo.
Thanks so much for having me. It's quite a privilege to be here. It's quite interesting to see what you're doing as a creative yourself. You inspire a whole lot of us. Your attention to details, your professionalism, and your passion for development amongst the creatives is really interesting. And I'm sure that's why you're doing what you're doing now. And that's what would inspire or challenge me to want to be part of it, because I know you are genuine enough for the creative industry.
Yes.
Good. Thank you for having
me. One of the fun memories I have is when you came to, I don't know if you remember the day you came to Orbit Imagery. You're just telling us about this stuff, this, that, we're talking about photographers, we need to do, you cannot remember.
Was it in Ogba?
No, it was at Gidimbi.
Opposite Cadbury?
Yes.
I remember.
Yes.
Obisomto, Emmanuel Eleki.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah, some of other people there. It was like he wanted.
Were you there then?
I was there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And what I remember is that you've always been like this, like constantly wanting to do more, help more, organize, So how do you see yourself?
I think I see myself as work in progress. And work in progress also because there is the God factor, which is constantly working in me to unveil new dimensions of myself. Work in progress also because I am building every day. I'm always trying to learn. So the more I learn, the more a new layer of me is unleashed. Work in progress also because as good as it seems, Bayo Omoboriowo, and I go everywhere, like, I know you. But I don't know everything I'm trying to do. So that's why I say work in progress. I don't even know. I just know all I care about is I'm living. And I'm living the best version of myself per time. But at every juncture, I'm asking myself, what are you meant to be doing now? Is this what you're meant to be doing? And I'm constantly tweaking that. So Bayo Omoboriowo is simply a work in progress. And as it continues to move, he continues to learn. As he continues to move, he continues to listen to what God is telling him, and he continues to do it. And an example is what you just asked about Madhouse and what I'm doing now, which is simply creative enterprise evangelist. That's what I call myself.
Oh, wow.
A year ago, I didn't see it. But I knew my heart was yearning for something new. But because it's work in progress, we just keep moving. And as you keep moving, it begins to open itself up. And they say, in parts, you prophesy in parts. That parts and parts is what comes together to form the Bible. Like, oh, Bayo is doing this now. But guess what? When I started Madhouse, it was unabashed now.
It was unabashed.
But what did it start? Going up and down.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it started moving till it became Madhouse. So what in progress is that? I'm a dreamer. I can say, no, let's go. I might not even know where I'm going to, but I'll keep watching it. And as I work it, it keeps opening up itself. And the same thing with photography. I never knew I was going to become president's photographer. I never dreamt of it. But work in progress is, I loved photography. Okay, I was doing all sorts of photography. And then I knew, no, this is not me. Then I focused on wedding and street photography alone. And then after I realized that this is not me, I don't want to be a wedding photographer. And this was at the peak where people were like, wedding was like, Bella Niger was picking all our images and everybody was talking about wedding. And I remember Jide telling me, Bayo, I told Jide on the coin, I was no longer doing wedding. I was like, Bayo, it's not possible. do you know how much I'm earning for wedding? I
And
said,
you
no.
know one of my really good friends, Ukuri Anuma.
Yeah.
A wedding, yeah.
I was shooting weddings, and I bought my first car off of wedding. But I knew that God was telling me, this is not where you belong. I knew. And I remember praying to God. I said, God. And then he was telling me to move to documentary photography. I knew. So I said, God, are you sure it is your voice I'm hearing? Because how can I move from wedding? Documentary then did not look like anybody was making it. People wear dirty jeans, tattered hair. And that's what documentary photography looks like then. And then this is me. I'm earning 50,000 naira now from photography. And I'm going to a place where I can't even see myself earning 250,000 naira. Or even 150,000 naira. You have to go for a sign. Let me get me a sign. For one of the first few times. And I got a mail from DFID saying they should go from the UK office to go and look for Bayo Omoboriowo. A mail. How? Then I knew that God was actually leading me truly into documentary. So when I say what work in progress is to say, a lot of times it's not like the future is casted. But Bayo Omoboriowo is that guy who believes, who trusts, and also continues to learn his way through. And as I keep learning my way through, I begin to find the new dimension of who I was meant to be.
Wow. I love it. But when I hear you, one of the things what I actually hear is, because you say at every point you're listening and you're knowing, right? So it means that there are times you stop and you do like a self-check. Like you're very self-aware to even to get to the point where you realize, oh no, this is not me.
Yeah.
Oh, that is not me. Oh, that is not me. What informs, or you constantly being in that place of really of being very self-aware? Because I feel like that's something that I don't know how many people, I mean, we have the ability to be self-aware, but very few of us are actually self-aware enough to know, even when it looks like you're doing something that looks great, but you're not supposed to be there. And you have that courage to change direction.
I think the most important thing is for everybody to understand what their foundation is, what structure builds you, what structure defines who you are. Once you know that, it makes life begin to make sense to you and becomes navigating through life becomes easier. And which is what structure, what foundation. There are buildings that you build. The pillar is in the middle, and the building is sitting on the pillar. Some build structures you build, the pillar is like this, and the whole structure. Some pillars be at every juncture for the house to stand. So you need to know what pillar is holding my life, and what pillar defines what kind of structure I'm to build on it. And everybody must get to that point where you identify what is the pillar. For me, the pillar that is holding my life is God. And I know from the one. So it is not even me playing religion. And I'm not trying to sound religious, but it is the true identity of who I am. And at every point in time, I need to know what is God telling me at this moment. So even when opportunities present themselves to me and they look very good, if it is not in tandem with what I'm sensing that God is telling me, I won't take it. And there are opportunities that might be too good to be true. And there are opportunities that are too good that you think it is for you, but it's not every good opportunity that is yours. It's only God that says good and perfect gifts comes from Him. It's only Him. It's only Him good gifts. Any other thing can look good and it's still not a good gift. So I ask yourself, what structure are you made out from? Some people, their structure might be that they need to speak to a prophet to know what they need to do part time. Some might just be that they have this feeling that once something happens to them, so you must identify, and you can't build career in isolation. You can't build a future in isolation. You must be in tandem with something. Either that something is a divinity, or that something is what there must be a structure. There must be a pillar on top of which you are building that life you want to build. And for me, I've identified that. And at every point in time, I run back to that structure and I'm asking, okay, this is the situation. I'm presented with 5 opportunities. My structure, what would you have me do? And at every point in time, I keep finding that, interesting pathway through it. So it's like there's a roadmap that has been defined, and I'm just following the roadmap. Is the road straight? I don't think it is straight. But at every point in time, the person who designed the road needs to let me know, Bayo, you need to turn left here, you need to turn right, you need to, and even sometimes if you make mistake, because he's there, he's able to tell you, no, take the next, he's able to reroute you, and you know that he's working in you both to will and to do of his good will. Again, I'm not trying to sound spiritual, I'm just saying this is my own framework. Okay. Other people might have framework where it is their talent. When they get into the room, their talent works for them. Oh, good and fine, that's their framework. Right. But for me, my framework is in that divinity. And at every point in time, I must know this is what he would have me do. And I seize it. And I use an example so that I nailed the point. When I was going to work with the president, I didn't think I was going to work with the president. One is that my career needed to move from wedding. If I didn't leave wedding, I won't be the president's photographer. I wouldn't have been the president's photographer. Absolutely. So you see where divinity plays a role in leading you through the path. Number two example, the day when they gave me the opportunity to photograph the president during the campaign, I remember I told them, how much are they going to pay? And they were like, oh, they're going to pay you this number. And I'm like, no, that's way lower than my daily rates back then. And I'm not going to take it. And one of my friends said, I don't mind them. They are taking money from presidential candidates. They don't want to pay you. Don't take it. And I was like, do you know one day, and I can bet you it is the divinity and my structure. I just stood up and I'm like, these guys have not called me. And I picked the call. And I called them and said, and why did I call them? I was like, Bayo, it's not money that has driven you in your career. So don't listen to people telling you it's money. If they don't pay, you don't take it. So I was inspired by that, my structure, to say, hey guys, you've not called me. What's happening? They said, oh, Bayo, we called you, but you said you can't take what we're offering. That's what we can offer you. Tomorrow is when the campaign is starting. If you make it, you get the job. If you don't make it, we'll get someone else. Guys, man, I got on, packed my bag, ran to the airport, and made it straight to it. I didn't even have a ticket. I ran to the airport, told them, please, what available flight is on ground? Put me in it, I'm going to Port Harcourt. And that's how I met General Buhari then. Now, what am I saying? If there was nothing that prompted me to know that I should call a day so, I would have lost my future. Wow. Because I didn't know. Yes, I would have lost maybe 8 years of my career or possible opportunities of building a future for myself. But how come I called just the day before the campaign? Why did I call maybe a month after or weeks after, where they would have gotten someone else? So there's something that is driving you. And you must identify what that driving force is and stick to it. Understand the model that it's like OS. What operating system are you working with? What OS is driving your life? Once you understand that, run with it. And people just think this guy's always lucky. He says, why is he only the one? Why is he just you? Why are things working for you? But because you've gotten to understand what your OS is. So my message is find your OS and life becomes easy for you.
Find your OS and life becomes easy for you.
Yeah.
I like that. Thank you, Bayo.
You're welcome.
Your career has evolved over time, right? Exponentially and really good. And I know that there's so much out there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really just the beginning. And it's easy for people who see you from the outside and just say, you know what, Bayo is having a blast,
Yeah.
Everything must be working really good for him, I wish I could be Bayo right now. So the first question in relation to that would be, can you remember any of the defining moments in your career journey that has contributed to where you are right now? And I don't really want us to talk about it from a very because it's easy to think about, because I got this camera and then I was able to do this job. Because I did. What are the intangible things, right? And that formed those moments that have defined your journey up until this moment?
And yes, to answer you, life is not as people think from the outside. It's not as rosy or as easy as people think. Yes, there's a God factor that makes it easier.
Yeah.
And there's also a God factor that makes it more productive. So if you cast your harvest, probably others get 30%, 50%, and God, because God is with you, you get up to 80%. There's always 20% of things that you feel like pain, you feel like you are set so much energy. There are things that don't work as well. But in all of it, you must define what does it mean to you? Was it a learning curve? Was it something you needed to do? And all of that. But yeah, to answer your question in specifics, I think for me, defining moments has always been, and I'll give you examples, key, because there's always kairos moments in life.
Exactly.
And those are like, that's what
those are defining moments. Exactly, yes.
And those moments are miss or
once you miss it, it's like just like if you did not make that call, that moment.
So there are kairos moments, and those are defining moments. And again, back to the reality, everybody must be sensitive to their kairos moments, both in career, in life, in marriage, whatever. Even in raising kids, you must know what the kairos moments is. And just like we're saying, once you identify, even in raising your kids, there are moments that you must not miss.
Absolutely.
In their journey.
Absolutely.
It matters a lot, just like when my wife was giving birth off, conversation. I got it the day before she gave birth. The day before I flew down there. And I know my wife would never forgive me, but I needed to just get just that, like put everything on the table. So there are moments. But career-wise for me, the moments that were defining was one, university. I got to a point where I didn't even have a camera while I was in university. But relationship mattered. So my first kairos moment would always be the company and the relationships around me. Matters to kairos moment. So my first camera was a gift from a friend, small camera, but that defined, it was a seed that defined the Bayo I became. Number two kairos moment was when I went to Shell during NYC. I know a lot of people don't like NYC. But NYC was the kairos moment for me.
Wow.
And I remember then I was at NYC, and from camp, I took my camera along and I started taking pictures. And everybody in camp wanted my picture. I was not a photographer. I just loved taking pictures, so I was just going everywhere taking pictures. And then there are these photographers, the normal commercial photographers in the camp. But I couldn't rest. As a copper, in camp, everybody wanted Bayo's photo. And then I started making money from it, so people paid me 14 naira, 13 naira, 15 naira from pictures. Like, wait, this thing is making sense. And then I'll give the memory card to one of the photographers, and he'll go and print for me. They called meeting on my head. I knew there was something about me. You know what all the photographers have to say? Are calling meeting.
Because of this Bayo.
This Bayo is spoiling market. So I knew I must be good. There must be something special about me. Then, after leaving camp, I became friends with DG and the state coordinator. I remember going to state coordinator's house one day. I said, what do you want me to make for you? NYC state coordinator that everybody dreads. She has the military, she has everybody surrounding her. I said, what do you want me to make for you? Come and eat lunch in our house. There must be something about this thing. Then I went as a copper with my copper outfit. And I went to a photo lab to create one day. And the owner of the lab, the manager, or maybe the owner, co-owner, or the manager of the lab, fell in love with me like copper, photography. Not photography now, everybody's doing photography. This is 2010. Guess what? How many people say they're photographers in 2010? I could not tell my father I was a photographer in 2010.
Of course, in 2010, no, you can't say that boldly.
Photography has changed. Photography has changed. So I could not tell. So I went to meet the guy. So the guy was surprised, like a copper taking pictures, because who they used to were all these artisans and local photographers. So he picked interest on me and called me to his office. And from there, I became his friend. If I go to the lab, I would sit in his office. He would want to be analyzing. So he would show me his own photo, and I would show him my photo, and we started critiquing each other. And that was how it started. Then I began to realize that, I think this is it. Now, what is it? Association, relationships. You need to form who you are. And these are, for me, are important defining moments, which is, and those defining moments are not things you can do alone.
Yes.
There are many companies that play to those defining moments. Absolutely. And the defining moment for me was, I then realized that people were gravitating towards me because I was holding something. Wow. And then gradually, I then began to realize that my corporate colleagues during NYC became, I was making friends. Then I began to understand that there was something about this. And all of it summed into me having to go back to Lagos or staying in Port Harcourt, defining moments. Because I was now making money in Port Harcourt, taking pictures, and I was comfortable with 50 naira. You know, poor boy now, 500 naira. I had nothing. I was walking pure water on the street. So when I started seeing 50 naira per 5x7, 4x6, I thought I had arrived. Now I could go to Mami Market. Yes, again. I could buy lunch for babe now. I thought I had arrived, but God had a bigger plan. So the Holy Spirit asked me to go back to Lagos. And I knew. So the Holy Spirit asked me to go back to Lagos, so I knew. And then go back to Lagos to go and do what? I didn't know God had a plan for me. But I heard him say, go back to Lagos. If I didn't make that move of coming back to Lagos, I won't be where I am today. So what I'm saying is I'm just giving examples of milestones that your career is meant to follow. And there are defining moments in relationship, the people you meet. When I came back to Lagos was when I went to work at do training at Red Media. And now it was Red Media that ended up giving me my first opportunity to photograph an event, which then led to the relationship that then ended up Red Media getting the contract to do social media for Buhari. And then from there, they called me to come and work. So if I didn't come to Lagos, when the Spirit was telling me, go back to Lagos, I wouldn't have gone for that training where I connected with Red Media. Then I wouldn't have become the president's photographer because it happened through Red Media. So your life is just like this. But if you miss those moments, it's like every other thing is hinged on those defining moments. And what you do with those defining moments can leapfrog you or slow you down from where you should be going to. Wow, so good. And you know, like, see how the way you describe this now, it just shows like it's a journey that God has been taking you from the beginning. Like, it's a script. It was not a coincidence that you land, that your life is where it is right now. So it's easy for someone to be looking at you from the outside and say, you know what? My desire is that I'm going to be the president's photographer. You get me? Exactly. There are many backstories that led there, but it's like, see, in your life right now, God is also taking you on a journey. Exactly. But are you sensitive? Are you in tune with what is happening? Because, you know, like you described earlier, there's a roadmap. Yeah. And everyone has a roadmap. Follow it. You must follow it. You must follow that roadmap. And even till now, you know, one of the beautiful things is when you follow the roadmap, you don't need to lobby for anything. Oh, come on. I never lobbed. Come on. Till today, I got into Villa, I was like, how did he come? Who brought him? It must be Omoboriowo, the governor. It must be his father. Oh, it is still Ogo. Oh, it is still Ogo. No, it's Damechi. It's Damechi's boy. You know, everybody, so they started doing permutation. Because, but when God is your source, it's difficult. People cannot place you because he's the one that's placed you there. And then you don't need to lobby and you are fighting. And I never had a single. I never knew Buhari from anywhere. I never needed to go to Villa to go and be dancing at Villa for them to see me. And even to the point where I started working with him, it wasn't cast in stone. But when you're in your own path, everything begins to align. So he sees me and says, who is that guy? That guy is always so hardworking. Because what? The one that carries you, loads you. So you are loaded enough that whatever you do, it will not be right. You will be doing the right things. Even you don't know it's the right thing. And they'll keep saying, who is that boy? So when they called me, they said, do you know why he chose you? He was always spotting you. Wow. And I didn't know he was ever seeing me. I'll climb trailer. See, that boy is climbing trailer. So go and take picture. Who is this boy? Wow. So when we got into the villa, it was natural for him to look for me. It was natural. The first day in the villa, all the photographers surrounded. First day in the office. Do you know what I said? He said, "Where's Bayo?" And I remember Pete Souza saying it. Say, I read the book. He said, once the president can either call your name or knows your name, you are in a different place with him. So he said, "Where's Bayo?" First day in the villa. They have never seen it because the history of presidency, there's nothing like a photo. What? Even President Jonathan, he said, "Call me the photographer." There was not a photographer.
Yes.
Not a photographer.
Yes.
So they were also
you defined that role.
Who is Bayo? So they were all looking. I then came out from the back. I didn't know what they were doing, so everybody blocked everywhere. So I came out from the back. You know that first day now when he needs to sign something?
Yes.
That official photo.
Yes.
Then I said, "I'm here, sir." He said, "Now the photo is complete." Wow. So that day, everybody became there and said, leave this one. This one is the president's son. Just leave him. And for 8 years, it followed me through.
Wow.
Yeah.
So good. Wow. So let's talk about, while we were talking, I remembered, I was one of the photographers that shot your wedding.
That's really
And I was looking at my archive the other day and I saw the folder. I was like, oh my God, yes, it was being Emmanuel. I was like, wow.
So there's no story to tell.
Yeah, and I'm always so curious because I know that personally as a photographer, from when I was single, and then I got married, I had kids, my life kept evolving. And sometimes, there are ways that your life evolved that you're probably not even prepared for, right? And you're just like, you think that, what has it been like for you as a creative, seeing your life evolve over time? Because again, so for instance, a creative Gen Z can be looking at this and, in that young time, you're like, everything is, you don't see how far, like, things can change, right? And sometimes you can't fully be prepared for it, right? Sometimes, some people's life happens and evolves and it slaps them off the routes that they were even taking. What has it been like for you, and what are the things that you have learned like over that, your personal life just evolving beyond your career?
I think, like you said, you can never be prepared enough.
Exactly.
And number two is a decision you must make, or you would make, or it's good to make, because again, I don't think when they'll get.
Of course. But are there changes that you had to make?
There's no way you will say that decision won't affect what then becomes of your life, either for good or bad. And for different people, it happens in different ways. For me, in particular, I think it has been a movie. A movie in the sense that, a lot of times I don't even know what's happening in the next episode. But I just choose to always stay positive.
Yeah.
And believing that, like I said, my structure, you got this, he's going to fix it. And like I said, that is good. And because of people that will listen to this, it's also important for them to know what stage of career they are before they make that decision, especially marriage. Because it will change a lot of things. Because when there are things I can't do.
Oh, of course. I didn't know that there are things that because I used to think that, the guys that no, they can do everything.
If I wasn't married, I would barely be at home. If I wasn't married. What am I going to do at home? I'll be living a studio life. A studio life, a creative life. I work and then I go to bed just by my table. And then I just pop in somewhere. I can stay in one room working. I'm wired to work. So I can be on my desk, then I have my couch next to it. I lie down, wake up at 3 a.m. and continue working. And then I continue. My house was always flooded with creatives, full. But I can't do that. I have a wife. But that's me. I will work in, I will lie down. The remaining room, other creatives will be living there.
And I think that the guys catch up with that late, because they think that everybody can become until the wife now says, no, that's not going to happen anymore.
Your wife wants to come out and she wants to be free.
Yes,
she wants to dress down. And then one creative opens the door and comes out from one room. Or a creative misses his way and goes into your wife's bedroom. And then, because creatives are crazy. And like, wait, what really happened? Like, let's be serious. What do you want? Do you want to be married? You want to be creative? So a lot of things change.
Yeah.
But again, love is all about sacrifice.
Yeah.
You can't have it all. You can't say, you know what, I don't care, this is who I am. Love doesn't work that way. It's not about who you are, it is who we are, which is bringing a part of you and a part of her and finding a balance. Which also includes even your kids. You are looking for a part of them and finding a balance. So at the end of the day, it becomes sweeter when you have the formula to being able to find a balance. So it becomes awesome. So I'm going to travel back to back, but I'm going to take a break for you. Oh, you love to travel too. Okay, I'm going to take a break for you to travel too. So it's like a arithmetical permutation.
I think it's also a really learning process because like there's so much.
It's going to take time. But it didn't start as a gradual thing, but you must first go with the commitment that you really are going into something that you believe is for your good. So it's not like, oh, I'm helping the woman or I'm just helping this guy. His life is so scattered. Creatives, their lives are so scattered. Let me help him. It's not help. It's mutual support. So once you think, I'm just helping him.
I like
or
that. So
I'm just helping her. If I didn't go help her, maybe our family would just be somewhere. So I'm not a big boy creative. I have money and I'm just trying to sort her out. No, she's trying to sort you out as well because I was scattered. The house now looks good. So people come to my house now, it smells good. Like, oh, I love the structure of the house. But there's someone who is supporting that. So you can come to my house now as a creative. And, okay, Emmanuel Oyeleke and his friends just came to my house last week because they were stranded at the airport. And there was strike. They couldn't, and they came home. I invited them over and then we had dinner and we all had beautiful time, we laughed. But someone was behind that. Because now she has structured the house. There's the cook, there's someone that cleans the house, there's someone that does the laundry. She makes sure there's internet. She does like putting the house in order. That's part of the benefit.
So good.
But if you think that it's all about, oh, she's not allowing me, I'm not doing well, everything I want to do. We have to look at it. There are many dimensions of you. That being creative and succeeding as a creative is not the only definition of success.
Wow.
Looking good also is there. Smelling good is there. Making sure that you have a comfortable home to come to after a busy day. These are what that unity brings together. And also knowing that there are emotional sides of us as creatives, where you want someone to go and cry to, you want someone to, share your burdens with, you want someone to tell your pains, and the person is there listening to you. Because there are many dimensions. We think it's all about intellectual agility.
Yes.
But there are many other layers.
So good. Yeah.
And you also have a future. So the future is that your kids, need to have kids that you can fall back to.
So good.
We're going to be old and we can't do all this now. Someone is helping you raise those kids.
Yeah.
You're going to sit down at home and you say, Tiffen, help me bring this. Oh, Tito, bring daddy his comb. Or my back is scratching me. Come and help me scratch my back. Those are the things that age would tell. There are times that you can no longer climb the tree. And you have your kids that you can say, oh, you know what, let me get this thing. Let me use the ladder to... It is now that you're making those investments. So relationship, you must see it as an holistic thing and not just, again, I'm telling to the camera, it's not just for sexual joy. Because sex, at the end of the day, you do guys, if it is all about sex, you are finished.
Of course, you already
but it's all about something bigger.
Yeah.
And for me, going to that union, did it stop? Again, I'm also privileged to have married someone who was sacrificial. For 8 years, I wasn't always around, but she sacrificed. Which from the beginning must also understand what your career trajectory is. You might not know it completely, but you must see what your career trajectory is. And ask yourself, this person you are going along with, is the person going to support that trajectory? So if you know that you're going to be on oil rig and traveling up and down, and from the beginning you've not given an inclination, it might be too much of a shock for someone that thought,
so true.
Because when they started dating you, you're always on the desk at home. In fact, you were working from home. So they knew you are always at home.
From home.
Then all of a sudden, you are now working from the air, or working from outside, or working from the road. You've changed the trajectory.
So
and at the end of the day, it affects the person. And if that ever happens, you must be able to sit the person down and let the person see your career direction. Let the person find herself or himself inside of it. And then it can be easier for you both to journey together. Even with the kids running the home, there's an mutual understanding. There's a compromise on each person's part. And you can't have it all. You must be willing to compromise, give here, take here, and life becomes so beautiful.
Wow. That's an entire masterclass.
I'm learning.
Our relationships as a creative. But I think everything you said is just so spot on, right? Because, you know, this being a creative thing, nobody really taught us, you know, like we were all doing different things. Do you get what I'm saying? We're just you get, and then you step into something, life changes, and then you don't realize that, you know, there are also ways that you need to restructure or structure your life or learn or do to make it make more sense to you, and also see the good in it. That it is not taking away something. It doesn't mean that you can't do this anymore. Because I mean, one of the questions I get a lot is, guys, how do you do it all? You're a mother, you're this and all of that. So, you know, and I know that that's also a fear for a lot of creatives. Like, you know, how is my life going to change when this happens?
I also think it's also good to have company.
They're also good. Very important. Like surround yourself.
When you're
support.
A creative and then you're getting into that phase of marriage or things like that, you need to find other people who are successful and who you can model after. Start having conversations with ahead of it so that they can tell you things that you should look out for. And there's nothing wrong with us as creatives even talking about marriage, talking about because we have creativity is just a portion of us. It's not the entirety
of your entire
So you must be able to, we must have those conversations where, okay, I'm a creative, I'm very energetic, I'm putting my all into creativity, but I'm about to enter into this phase. How do I navigate?
Yes.
And then you begin to find succor in people's stories.
So great.
You begin to find them as support systems where you can even be as smart as making some of them your wife's friend. For instance, if my wife is angry at something, it took me years, but I didn't realize that there was a day that we now have a mutual friend, not family. Mutual friend, a successful couple. That instead of me to react to my wife, I just call them and say, "This is what." Then my wife is fighting, but they will say, "No, you were the one that is wrong. This one." So you must find those ecosystem where they are able to support two of you to see things in a different way. But a lot of times people are working in isolation, and I always say that nobody succeeds in isolation. The things you are trying to battle on your own, somebody has navigated it. So you just need to be in that space with them, the safe space, people you trust that they are going to protect your. So it's not like people just want to hear gist and then go chit-chatting. You know, they just want to be there to support you. They believe in you. They believe in the union, and they believe in the values you share. So if it's a God value, they believe in that value as well. And then they're able to help you.
So good. Thank you, Bayo. The last question I have is, I wanted to, one of the things I really love and that inspires me about you and your journey is you're a big thinker. You don't think small. You don't do small. You know, and I think that is, you know, I think that's very phenomenal, and that really stands out. And it's easy as a creative. You know what? Some people do, but I feel like most I don't know whether it's our wiring or what we do that sort of shrinks our mind to just be contained with where we are, right? And not push for more beyond what you're used to or what you have seen. What has helped you to expand your mind and the way that you see yourself, you see your work, right? You see the impacts that you're creating for you to be able to command more?
My favorite song in recent times is Big Things. Like, I love big things. You're very spot on. I'm a big dreamer.
Yeah.
And why? Because I think I'm wired that way. I see possibilities. But what influences this? One is every creative out there needs to spend time curating their company.
Wow, curating. So that means you design your company. Wow.
About the company. I'm just coming from a meeting where I went to meet someone to say, please, I want to be your friend. The meeting was all about, I want to be your friend. Wow. Why? Because where my new career is going to, or where my career is going to now, it's unannounced, it's way bigger, that I need someone that's already gone there to become my friend. So curating your company, you ask yourself, and it changes. You don't want to stay with low minds.
My God.
No matter how much you're trying to be nice, I can't stay with
No
low
matter
minds.
how much you're trying to be nice.
I can't stay there. I don't even find myself. It's like someone telling you to drink pure water now. It's not because you're being arrogant. I can't drink pure water.
I can't drink pure water.
Not because I wasn't drinking pure water. If I drank ice water. But my life has changed that I will react most likely if I drink pure water.
Absolutely.
There are restaurants I can't eat again. Not because I wasn't going there to league. But there are places where I eat now, I fall sick.
Wow.
Because my system has changed. My system is now more sensitive to some type of thing. It's life. Wow. You can't. So your system, the system, which is what I call your operating system, or your mental system, has been wired that where you should be, if you're not there, you start feeling uncomfortable. There are people that you must surround yourself with if you want to think big. Wow. There are places you must go to if you want to think big. Come on. There are books you must read if you want to think big. You can't be reading, and there are movies. In fact, there are things you must watch. You can't be watching film. Netflix and chill. I will not sleep off. I'm not wired. I'm trying to watch Netflix and chill. But you must also be tailoring it towards things that inform you. So if I'm watching a movie, I'm asking, what's the knowledge I'm going to get from this movie? So good. Not they are laughing, hey, collect my husband, I collect your husband. And what value is that adding to me? That people are just chatting. No. I'm asking myself, is this book helping me build better businesses? Come on now. Is it helping me build a better team? Is it helping me lead my organization or my people in a better way? Is it helping me become a better creative? It changes your perception. Is it helping me dream big? The places I go to. Madhouse is a function of the places Madhouse was built from a place I went to I saw. Because sometimes you don't need to go. You need to see through the things you are opening. Magazines, books. You can't be a creative and you are just reading creative books. Through the companies you keep. You can't be a photographer and all you keep friends with your photographers. You want to keep friends with fashion designers. You want to keep friends with people that are creating products. You want to keep friends with the person who making the camera. That's how you begin to think big. Number 3 is the places you visit, where Madhouse was from something I found online, and I ended up going to visit the place in Lisbon, Portugal. But I read it and till I got to the place. One day I went to London, I was going up and down. My friends were laughing at me because I was saying, let's go. They said, you're always walking up and down. Don't you get tired? Inside cold, inside rain, you're always trekking up and down. Why? I'm trying to be big in my mind before I can produce any big thing. So I must see it either through reading, through the people I surround myself with, but my mind must be big before I can do big things. And those are things that are influenced by people, the things you read, the places you go to, the kind of community you find yourself. When I started photography, I used to sit at 4 points. I have my seats at 4 points. Come on now. I would buy a cocktail at 4 points. 4 points has changed now. When 4 points was 4 points, I'll buy cocktail. 4 points and Oriental. 4 points Oriental and Radisson. But I spent more time at 4 points. I have my seat. If I go there, I still know where I always sit. I'll carry my laptop there. I'll buy a cocktail and sit down there. So you can't say I'm not, because my mind is already wired to see big people, to see big things. I will sit down there, I'll be using slow motion to drink the cocktail because I didn't have money to buy plenty of that. So I'll buy the cocktail, sit down there and just start. But I was incubating myself in greatness. So from 4 points of in the evening, I'll go to Radisson Blue. And I'll sit down at Radisson Blue and just I was already incubating. I'll be working, I didn't have nothing. I'll be working, I'll see beautiful cars, I will tap it, I say, God, you would. So my mind was already incubated for big things. So most times you need to take yourself off the things that are limiting your mind. You make 250,000, you're already with association that immediately they tell you, oh, if you bought me 200,000, that one is not helping you. Once you make two small things, somebody is already there trying to suck it. So they're not supporting you to see big. When you make 250,000 and somebody is telling you, oh, I just made 250 million. Ooh. You're like, at your age bracket, You know what it should do to you? It should inspire you to start a conversation. Wait, what did you just say? 250 million. How? Oh, I didn't. Please, can you share more with me? He begin to, you won't make 250 million immediately. But from 250,000, you most likely make 2.5 million.
So good.
Because what he has told you something that makes you begin to see differently. Immediately you see, in no time at all, you start making 25 million. Wow. And then you are closer to 250 million. Why? There's a seed that has been sown in your heart when you listen to the right information. A lot of Nigerians are educated yet uninformed. So we think we know a lot, but we don't know nothing. Wow. Travel abroad. If you don't have anything, carry your money. Go abroad. Just go. Don't know where you're going to. Just buy plane tickets. Go to a developed board and be strolling on the street. Don't sit in hotel. Nigerians will travel, go to hotel and mall. They are going to mall. How can you go on a trip? You are sleeping in the hotel and going to mall. To do what? If I want to rest, I'll go to Maldives and all the islands. But if I'm traveling, I bet you I'm going to be trekking. Trekking on the road. I want to enter big boy, enter luxury Uber, and you sit down and say, I'm enjoying myself. I trek. I'll enter a train, enter a bus. Till now.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm looking for what are they doing differently. So when people see me doing things, most times it's from the things I've gathered. I've sucked it. Then I begin to manifest.
So good.
Out of the abundance of the arts. Something must first enter the arts.
Yes.
When it enters the arts, it begins to spring forth, and people are wondering, like, how? So nothing happens as a magic.
No, nothing happens.
It's a miracle. A miracle is a process.
Miracle is a process. Wow, this has been so good. Thank you, Bayo.
Thank you for inviting me.
And you know what he says, and I'm sure and I hope for people listening is, success is not a coincidence.
Yes.
Like it's not just by looking at somebody and be admiring them and saying, boss, so, it's like, there are layers. There are very deep layers. And it's also saying that it is also possible for anyone.
Oh, sure.
It's possible for you.
I was a so if I could do it, then a lot of people can do it if they choose to follow the right approach.
Yeah. If there's one thing you can say to, anyone watching this, and whether it's a creates, just anyone watching it. And I'm just, when I think of anyone, I think of, the younger creatives that are actually really coming, the Gen Z generation, and even the millennials, right? Yeah, what would you say?
Find your God. If you find it, you find everything. Find your God. Anything you want to learn, anything creativity is online. It's somewhere. It's hidden somewhere. But if you don't find God, you won't find those things. You keep becoming Gazbato and Bayo. You are trying to become. But there is something that you have been designed for, which is like a map in the hand of God.
Come on.
If you find it, He will hand it over to you, and everything begins to make sense. Going into politics for them, there was nobody that had done it. But God will not begin to show you a few people that are already doing pockets of it. They now begin to join everything together. Especially when you want to do things that are unconventional. God is the only source that can help it to make sense. He rules in the affairs of men.
Yes.
There's something inside you that He will begin to rule it. So for me, I can't say it in a different way. There's a God. And immediately you find that God. If you're a Christian, you want to surrender yourself to God.
Yeah.
This is not church. This is not religion. This is not me trying to preach, but it is what has worked for me.
Yeah.
And I will not. If I've said everything, I don't say this out loud because you will use all my formulas to know.
Come on now.
You will use it to know. You won't like, but I've said everything. But I'm telling you, my own truth is that the day I gave my life to Christ, it changed everything for me. Again, it's not religion. Whatever religion you practice, there's a God inside of it for you. You must find that God. And once you find that God, everything begins to make sense.
Begins to make sense. Thank you, Bayo. And every time I think of it, there's a scripture that comes to mind because I've read it in one of your posts, maybe some years ago. And it's Job. There's a statement in life, the breath of the Almighty that gives him understanding. Yeah.